Okay, so I've been testing some Spout stuff, and everything I'm not going to do both Spout and Siphon today. Whatever I do in Max with Spout, I will make for Siphon, like when we break to work by ourselves, and hand you that to you as well. I don't want to fill up a bunch of filler time. It's the same process. It's just different names, different objects in Max, and then we can go around and make sure everyone's up to speed on using this workflow because it is kind of interesting to use software to send frames to software, and I just want to make sure everyone has the concepts down while they're inside of class time. Cool. And then that way we can get ahead of schedule. So we're going to, so I have my project open, and did I hit record? I'm recording. Beautiful. And we're going to go into the map that we've been working on. Performance map. There it is. And so from last week, we were sending out this little scene capture camera. Before I upload it to my repo, I'm going to remove Spout from this as well, just also so the Mac people can download it and not have to worry about any. They'll be able to open up the map, but for right now, we'll make it a working copy, and then when I upload it, I'll clean it up a little bit. So we're going to add a couple more features to our project because for the homework, it's not just to add a little bit of jitter, but it's also to continue to add some more stolen features and then make those part of your whole spawning and destroying pipeline. And also just for next week's homework, this is obviously put your documentation. And we already have a week 6, so we'll do that. 6. Everything should be your own things. They should be models that you've messed around with. We shouldn't have any like cubes or spheres anymore unless we're doing something crazy with them. So, try to think about what assets you're using and try to have some sort of consistent tone and theme and mood and all that kind of stuff. Try to get all your activity and try to get it all in Max because once we have Max, it'll be a layer in front, and we actually can't do key presses inside of Unreal anymore because Max will be on top. Okay, so let's go for a shopping spree. There's a lot of great YouTube channels for learning Unreal, and there's one called Tech Art Aid. Super nerdy YouTube channel that gets into a lot of rendering technology and stuff like that. But they have some really cool projects that you can download as well.
Hi, welcome to the new tutorial.
I feel welcome. So this one, look at this. This is about instancing. So what they're doing is taking one single mesh and putting out like hundreds of thousands of them, right? And it's with no great performance hit because it's basically just doing one, and then we're just sending out these points in space, and it's just basically making a clone of those objects, but it's only really rendering the one object itself, as long as you don't do too much to them. Like if you do a change to one of them, you do a change to all of them, right? But this asteroid belt I've used in so many projects, because it gives you one to download. Yeah. It's doing lighting. Yeah. But it's not figuring out the polygons. Well, you know what? He actually, if you want to watch this video, he goes into it. Like this stuff, he's really, really deep into render technology and stuff like that. Let's put that in week 6. He has a lot of really good tricks, and this one happens to have. You get the project files right here. I think it goes to Gumroad or something like that. And then you just put in your email. CodeBrush. That's a new one. And then it's this one right here. And it's free. So you give them your email, you download it. I've already downloaded it. I already have it and open. So let's take a look at the properties of it real quick. And then we're going to push it over and we're going to change it to pumpkins or, to something else that we want it to be. So let's see. Downloaded that. And we're going to steal from him. I should thank him. I've actually paid him. I donated to him because we used it for a paid project. So I feel good about it. Cool. So in the project, he has some good examples for some other stuff we'll probably talk about when we get into VR because a lot of it's optimization techniques. But let's take a look at this blueprint for the asteroid belt. All right, so it is in level instancing. There we go. And so it's just one blueprint repeated a few times, right? Let's simplify it a little bit. Let's take them out. Let's just look at one. Okay. So it's a ring array. And then it has some code in there for when to not draw it anymore. You see how as I go forward, it starts showing more of them? So this is just all the stuff that he's kind of coded in where it's not, it has like what's called culling. It doesn't render anything at a certain distance. And we have all the control over that here on the side. Right? So we can take this and reduce the amount. Right? So now it's just 35. Visible at any given time. This is just about what's being visibly rendered. We can bring in the radius. So now it's something like this, right? So these are all parameters that we can put on OSC. Right? You can see how this could be a lot of fun just to play around with this with sliders and knobs. And then when I hit play, you can see that it's slowly rotating. And that's the other thing we're going to drive on OSC is the rotation rate. So we're going to make it so that when we have our slider at the 0 position, it's not rotating, and then we can make it rotate, I don't know, as much as we want, 25. Cool. So let's go ahead and steal this. I honestly don't need anything from this project except for this one blueprint and the model of the asteroid. I actually only need the model of the asteroid because I'm not going to use it. We'll take a look really quick at the blueprint. All we're going to access right here is this rotation speed. Right? All this other kind of stuff is not connected. It's about individually turning each one on its own axis, and then that's when your frame rate drops. We're trying to calculate all that. So that's by default. It says experimental. We're not even getting into that. So this is the only thing we'll be approaching. Cool. So let's select it, and if you hit Control B, it opens up the control browser, the content browser to where it is. You can also right-click and say Browse to Asset, and we're just going to steal this one. So Asset Actions Migrate. And then it pulls everything that's a part of that blueprint, including any materials. Sees that the asteroid actually has some levels of detail for how close you are to it and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to worry about all that, but we can bring it all over so it's not broken. And then we have to find our project. And find the content folder and say, select this content. It even tells you to do this. It says, choose the destination content folder. So we're just following the instructions. And then it says, content is migrated successfully. Huzzah. And now, in this project, we have a folder now called Tech Art Aid that has the blueprint for asteroid instancing. Cool. All right. What are we now? We're great artists because we're stealing. But I paid them, so we already established that. So now this is a cool thing that we could that we might want to spawn. So I'm just putting it here for reference so we can mess around with it for a little bit. But again, it's something that doesn't have to be there at all. Cool. Let's steal one more thing, or not even steal. Like the marketplace has fair use rights. If you purchase items. I don't know if you guys have noticed this Epic Games launcher keeps on pinging you about free games and stuff, which I think is a little bit annoying, but it's trying to give you free games, which is okay. And it's also every month they're giving away free marketplace content. Have you guys seen this? Every month on the first of the month, they'll do free for a month, and they'll take like 5 asset packs, and they'll give it to you. I've already installed these, but like this one with flowers and plants, super cool. It's super big though. It's like 6 gigabytes. I would want to add it all to my project because I just added 6 GB to my project. But I would add it to another project, like that Tech Art Aid project, and then migrate over just the flowers I want. This is super important when you start working with other people too, because you can just screw them up, especially like working remotely, don't serious internet. You can't pull your repo and get the whole project because you're having 6 GB of bloat. So we call these carrier pigeons. These little temporary projects we make. I think I showed you last week when I made the plugin for Spout. I compiled it. I made a project called Compiler. It's a C++ project. And I always use these for my little carrier pigeons. It's right here. No. Compiler for 421. So I'm going to use this as my patsy. And I'm not going to send this over. What I want particles. And particles are so tedious to make, so I'm just going to steal some. I'll come down here. And we'll do particles. I have to spell things right, though. Fireworks sounds really cool. Let's do that. We'll add it to the compiler. And let's also look for the word effects. That was a really small package. Nope. There's one I had that was like Firestorm. I have way too many of these, and if you ever want to use any of my stuff, just let me know. You can log in underneath my, I think I put the username and password inside the syllabus at the very end. But you're welcome to use my crap. It's for educational purposes. Let's just deal with fireworks for now. Wait 1 second. Grenade pack. Let's do with fireworks right now. All right, so I'm going to open up compiler. And there should be a folder for fireworks. There you go. And let's see, usually there's a demo map, and there it is. And let's go shopping, shall we? It says, well, that's really stupid. Press play, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to launch fireworks. Hold down 6 to get a stream of fireworks. Okay, sounds good. Let's audition them. 1. Well, that's going to be super hard to keep into frame. 2. 3. Well, if they all explode at the same place, we can always have it explode in frame. Let's hold down 6 to get a steady stream. Yes! I want it all. I'm taking it all. That's cool. Let's see. Let's see how they made it real quick. What is 6 doing? So any events are underneath, like right here. I can just look for the 6 button. It's right there. And it just is launching shell. Oh, it has its own custom functions. Cool. We'll just make it easy on ourselves. Let's do another one real quick. That was me riffing. Let's see. Neurofractals, that could be interesting. And then we'll have one more. So we don't have to wait too much longer. Gesundheit. Oh, it's this FX Variety Pack. This is one I used when I set up my demo earlier. Believe it or not, I practice this stuff sometimes. Cool, so it has to like download it, and install it to the project. Let's go back up. That was just, those were really cool, but that was going to take too much time for me to show you guys how to break that apart. Cool. So in the meantime, while this stuff is installing, you can see that it's downloading, installing them. Let's go address the asteroids. So this asteroid pack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the blueprint itself, and I want to change the mesh there so I can spawn it. So what is the static mesh? Let's find something that's good. We'll use so many great ones. An eyeball sounds good to me. And now, let's go into our level blueprint. Level blueprint. And then we're going to do another one of these. So I'm going to say spawn actor from class. For right now, it can be on a key press because we're testing it. And I'll have it be on I. Great. We've already made a variable for the transform, which is the center of the universe. Cool. And we're going to do the asteroid ring. Great. And then let's make a reference to it so that we can then destroy it later on. So this is just called asteroid ring. And then when I release I, we'll go ahead and destroy it. Boom. So let's get rid of this one then. Let's try it. Cool. Let's eject our character real quick. And let's get... Oh, what won't we keep pieces? Let's see. That's fine. Cool. Let's make it a little smaller so we can see it. We can look at it and then get into some of these details. Let's just bring it down. Which would be... all right, up here, sorry. Let's make it 200 or something. 200. And I thought we chose another one. Use the eyeball. Cool. There you go. Random scale. Let's do 0.01. 0.01. No. Position. No. Instance count. And do like 25. What happens if I take this small down? There we go. Ready to go. Let's do it as 500. Who knew eyeballs would be so big? All right. There you are. 0.01. They disappear. We'll just make it bigger. Since the mesh is too big, that's fine for me. You can tell it's eyeballs. Great. Awesome. Cool. So just to prove a point, if I make it appear, let's take away the destroy real quick. I'm gonna make it so that I have to press a different button to make it destroy. So we'll say input. And we'll use U. Input space U. There we go. Alright. So now we can play with it a little bit. Play, I. Let's go over and select it. I can spawn a bunch, can't I? There you go. Anyway, let's see where we're at with the particles. We add those in, and then we can move on to max stuff. All right. The compiler now, we have, let's check out all the maps that it added in. And there is a overview of particles. We'll be fine. We'll use our imagination. Cool. So it has some explosions. But what I thought was really cool was way down here. There are these fire tornadoes. And we want these. This is going to look really cool with our character dancing in the center of them. So let's select it. Find out where it is by hitting Control B. And there's the firestorms. Are these just different instances of firestorms? Firestorm. KY storm. Aqua storm. All the words that are ending with storm. So let's reduce this and just take the storms. And we're going to migrate it to our shared project. Cool. So again, the reason why I'm using this intermediary project is I don't want to bring in these entire packages because they're just going to get really, really big. All right, so these are looking pretty cool. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, I think we have 5 of these. And I want to have a different one every time. So we're going to do, for our first time, we're going to make an array. and then we're going to connect to OSC, and then we're going to move on to Max. That's what I keep on saying. Don't need you anymore. My computer's getting a little angry with me. So we have the storms. There they are. What I'm going to do is do another spawn. Spawn actor. But the class, I don't want to choose just one. I want to choose one of 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off and create to a variable, which is an actor. It's an actor class. I'm going to disconnect it. And there's a little button here to the side. It says I can actually make this an array. So the array is this one that has a bunch of different ones. And it's now... Can't really see because it's purple, but it's no longer just a single dot. It's a square of small dots, meaning it could be a bunch of things. I'm going to compile it really quickly. And now an array has multiple elements. Cool? So it can be Aquastorm. It's like I'm uniting like a super team. Aquastorm, unite. Darkstorm. It really is. I mean, superhero teams are arrays of superheroes. Yeah? Yeah? We'll allow that. Storm, storm, storm. There we go. There's the 5 storms. And then what we're going to do is when we spawn the storm, it's going to, we want to get one of these, right? And there's 5 of them, so we want to get a random number between, it starts with 0, you see that? So we want to get a random number between 0 and 4. This is an index. You know, I was telling about different data types, and floating is going to be like our scalar parameters. Indexes are often used to choose numbers of an array. And we're gonna do a random one, but we can also put this into Max so that we can actually choose precisely which one we wanna have. But for right now, let me say I want to get one of them, and that's an index number right there. And I'm going to pull off and say random integer in range, and our range is from 0 to 4. So there we go. Now we know arrays. I'm going to call this Superstorm Team Unite. And then let's put it on a key press. I'm running out of keys. We'll put it on L. There we go. Ah, shoot. I chose left, which would be fine. Except for it also drives the camera, so. Great. And then the same thing, we want to be able to refer to it. So let's promote it. And we'll call it Storm Spawn, which is like the derogatory term that the bad guy calls the team. They're like, you're nothing but a storm spawn. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop. That was too much. This is how I keep myself entertained when I do projects. We'll put this one on the key released. And let's take it for a spin. Oh, we need to put which transform it's on, right? It's going to tell us where it is it's going to be spawning, and we have that saved as a thing. So, no bueno. Let's see if L is working. L seems to be working. Cool. So let's pull off to the side so we can debug visually. L, it's doing it. Let's come here to the bottom. Let's take away, oh, here we go. It's not spawning it, therefore it's saying it's getting an error when it's trying to destroy it. Let's just do one storm. Cool. That's better than I could have ever imagined. And it seems to go away after a time too. Let's see, let's hold it down. So what I think I'm going to do is get rid of the destroy because it goes away on its own. Now let's see if we can get one of these. Let's see. Get a copy. Under L of Storm Team, which it has 0 array elements. How did that happen? Huh. Well, I'm glad we did this together so you can see me making big mistakes. 2, 3, 4. Alright, one quick second. Darkstorm. Firestorm. Storm. One more. Thunderstorm. Pile. Save. Whoa. Buddy. What's going on? Why can't you save? Array elements. Let's just try let's try Good Jack and see if they'll save. Alright, well it'll save some blueprints, but not our storms. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay. Let's save all. And we'll try, let us do one. Let's replace this with Storm. Alright, that works. So, who knows why it's working now and why it wasn't working before? Does anyone? Sometimes these things have to be like used once or twice. I've literally had to come in to like things I bought from Marketplace and take a node and shake it, and it fixes things. So this is when you would totally come and contact me, and we'd figure this out together. This is not something I want you guys wasting your time on. This is like bug fixing the engine. So, but the cool news is was that we're going to have our storms after all. I was going to have to get rid of them, I thought. Storm. Last one. Yay! I mean, it was underneath L. All right. Yes. And I can spawn a bunch of them. That's a party that was worth it. Okay, cool. I'm excited about that. And they go away on their own. All right. So the one last thing I want to do is I want put this on OSC so that we're done, and then we're done with the Unreal portion of this. So there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to, first of all, I don't know if anyone's tried putting OSC into the level blueprint, but it actually doesn't work that way. So you have to actually submit it or transmit it. So I'm going to make this blueprint for you. You guys can use it. BP OSC. Let's do a new blueprint just to send OSC to the level. We're going to say under blueprints, we'll make one called an actor, and we'll call it BP OSC Cinder. And then you guys can just take this and throw it into your level, and it'll just work. And it is going to take an OSC receiver that is going to have an event, which is whenever it receives OSC. And then maybe just so I could see it in space, I'm going to put a little arrow on there so it knows which way is up. There you go. Cool, like a little arrow, which will be invisible when we hit render. And then we're going to go to the event graph. And this is going to be connected to what's called an event dispatcher. And this is how you send events between different blueprints. And we'll just say, let's see, sender. I'm going to put an asterisk on there. And we are going to call it. When I select it here, it has no default pins. So we're going to make sure we have one for address, which is technically a name. There we go. This one's called address. And then we need data. This is a type called OSC data elem struct. Sure, I'll take your word for it. OSC data elem struct. Boom. And then it needs to be an array of data. And then we just connect them. And say compile, save, and that's it. We throw it into the world anywhere we want to. And then with it selected, we open up our level blueprint. And on event begin play, we want to do two things on that one frame. So we're going to sequence, which is just a flow control node. We do two things in one frame. We're going to create that center of the universe, and then we're going to grab a reference to this, and we're going to it's called OSC Cinder. OSC Cinder. We're gonna assign. There we go. So now on a begin play, we've gotten a reference to that dispatcher, and now we have. This is like anything else inside of this. This is basically this node. I've replicated it and put it here. It's a little trick I invented. And what we could do now is we can have all these different addresses. So I can spawn my actor by sending something on an address from Max. Let's open up the Max patch from last week. I don't need you anymore. And I don't need you yet. So in my class folder, I have these demos that I send you guys, and I'm going to take week 5. It's just so you have the old version 2, and I'm going to say week 6A. Or 6B is what it's. Let's open it up. All right, here's all the stuff. And let's just add in, we'll do two things. We'll have, we'll make a spawn for the fire, and we'll put a little slider for the rotation of the asteroids, and that'll be all we'll do for OSC today before we get into Spout. All right, so the first thing I want to do is spawn a firestorm. So let's use a button, which is B, and we're going to send it on the channel firestorm. New prepinned. Remember, it's a internet protocol, so we have to use / and we'll call it firestorm. And then we're going to send it to UDP. Cool little button. And back to Unreal. We want to pop off a, technically this will be a Boolean. And the address was Firestorm. And this gives us another Boolean, right? This gives us another if statement, or something we can use as a conditional for an if statement, which is called a branch. So if it's on Firestorm, send the data over to, here we have L. Let's kind of put this up here. I don't really even need to worry about the bool. This is all I need is this. So, Max is in front, Firestorm. Cool. And the other thing I said I was going to do was do the rotation of this asteroid ring. So let us come into the asteroid ring. And they've already, the reason why I'm using rotation is because they already made that a variable. All we need to do is bring an OSC. And then in Max, we can also, of course, trigger it in Max, but you know, that's a repetitive process to keep on doing this. But we're going to create a new one. I want to create a horizontal slider. So the shortcut for slider is S. And if I select it, if I bring it down, it just changes automatically. And I want to bring up the info inspector. And I think I want to make it so that the output minimum is -1. So we go -1 speed and then +1 in speed. And I want it to be floating point output. And by default, I want it to be 0. So it should be in the middle. No? Let's see what this number is. Up to 127. Take another look. The range is 1. There we go. From -1 to 1. Can I change the default value? The range be 2? Let's try. That goes up to 1. If I send it a message of 0 now. Let's do a new. It's not really important. I'm just going to load mess 0. Not important. We'll just keep this in mind, and I'll figure it out and fix it before I send it out. All right, cool. So I just want to send this rotation, and it's going to be we're going to do a new one. We're going to say prepinned This is going to be eyeballs. And just like we have an array of firestorms, we can also have an array of static meshes that we can throw inside of this ring. So it can change to jack-o'-lanterns and eyeballs and all that kind of stuff. All right, and we'll send this one to UDP. I know that I want to actually make it a bigger range. So let's do new scale. And currently it's from -1 to 1, which I could also just made it from 0 to 1, because we're scaling it anyway. 1. Let's make it -10 to 10. So we're not going to do this one level. We're going to actually do it inside of its own blueprint. And we're going to say if it equals eyeballs, just if it equals the name, and that name is eyeballs, we're going to pop out a float number, and then we're going to branch. So if it's on eyeballs, send out the number, and we're just going to set this rotation speed. Right there. So I search for rotation speed. If I put in there, it's going to fit right in. Cool. And since I have my own rotation speed, I want to make the default 0, so it starts off still, and then I can make it move. All right, so let's see if that works. We spawn it with L for right now. Oops, sorry, with I, little eyes, and then look at that. From negative to positive. And what's cool again about Max is that I think it could go a lot faster. So let's do 25 to 25. And now it can go a bunch faster. Right? And again, if we can add in audio reactivity into this, then of course it would be, they'd be bouncing to the audio and all that kind of stuff. I can always make this a little higher if I want it to be a camera height, or move the camera down. And then I don't like the fact that it's doing that culling, because it's so small we don't really need to worry about culling. So I will come over here to the main settings and say like, culling distance. I just add a 0 because I don't care about making it cull at all. Great, they're all there. And again, I'm just doing proof of concepts here. You can make it look nice and stuff. Great, so now there's no culling. Okay, so let's do a little bit of Max, and then we'll break so we can have some in-class work time. So again, I've stole items, I'm editing variables, adding OSC, all these things are possible. They're all recorded. You'll have the project file, so you can even steal the things I've already stolen. Everything's the same. There's an example of everything here I'm asking you to do. So now we have our spout. Our spout is being sent out by Unreal. I'm just going to keep Unreal running right there. Whenever I want to prove anything, I can always add some fire. And let's receive spout using the spout sender. So when you install spout on Windows, you have a thing called a spout receiver and spout sender. When you install Siphon, you have a thing called a simple client and a simple server. The server is what's sending video frames, the client's what's receiving. We're going to do a spout receiver, which should get our Unreal frames. And there we go. Unreal sending out frames. Cool. Now let's get it inside of this patch right here. I'm gonna add in the object for new spout receiver, and I'm gonna steal a bunch of stuff because that's the theme of today. Max, if I see where I click on the edge, there's that little arrow. Here, let's make it bigger. So now you can see the arrow's still the same size. And I go to help. I think it's also if you hit Alt and click on the object, it'll put the help file. And now I have this spout receiver information. I'm going to take this code right here. I'm going to make this as simple as possible for everyone. I'm going to take this code right here and paste it into my project. And then drag it over to a new area. And I don't need this other one that I brought in just for help. Cool. And you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. This stuff just works. Okay?
Is it possible to collapse arrays?
Yeah, so that's where I was going to kind of get to like hide some of the unnecessary stuff from you, is that it's automatically rearranging the aspect ratio. So I'm not even actually worried about that. I am only going to send one, so I don't need to choose between them. But you can see how if I was sending a bunch, I could choose between them. The only thing I really need is this last element that's called video plane. So I'm going to remove this, take all this, and where it says file, you could say encapsulate. Right here, Control Shift E. So I take all that, Control Shift E, and it's called a little subpatcher, and this is called spout stuff. Great. And I'm not gonna touch any of this stuff. All I want to be able to do is get my corner pinning going. So I need to have a way of rendering this all out. It was doing it the old way in the help file. I'm going to do it the new way, which is just saying new JIT, which is jitter. Right? All jitter objects start with JIT. And it's going to be called world. Okay? I want it to be at 60 frames per second. And then I want it to also have full screen anti-aliasing. So if I'm using something lower than resolution, it actually doubles the scale of that and figures out a way of anti-aliasing, getting rid of the jaggy frames. So it's trying to make everything look nice for us. When I do this, it's going to create a window for me. The window is given a generic name because I didn't give it a name. I'm going to call it the same thing as this video frame so I don't have to connect them. This is called naming context. I remade it. It's called receiver name. And then when I toggle this on, it's going to render the frames from Spout. Simplest way I know how to do it. So we now have the on-off switch for our video. And then if I hit escape, it's full screen. And now we're sending off to projector. We're doing a projector. You want to use the projector as the other frame, right? So I would be able to see my patch in front of me on my screen. And then on the other screen, be a projector. And we'll get into that next week. So the only thing that I would want to change is, we want to look at corner pinning. So I'm going to save this real quick in case it crashes because it might crash. And I'm going to go to the help of jit.world. And it has a bunch of stuff. You see that 60 frame stuff? I didn't know that. I stole that from this help file. We just have to have this one argument for enabling a corner pin. Just stealing it. Then I can corner pin. So wherever my projector is, if it's not completely aligned to the frame, there you go. And you can corner pin like this. Right? And that way you can make sure it's super flat. And there you go. And then I think if I then disable, then that turns off the corner pin. Yeah. To do alpha masks or
Just like masking for frames, so like cut certain parts to get them to specific.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so the more complicated corner pinning, I would actually send it to maybe a better piece of projection mapping software. This is trying to simplify things by having the thing that's controlling also be the thing that's rendering. This you can do mesh distortion in Max, but it's going to get way more complicated than I want to get in Max. I don't want to add in a burden of a whole other piece of software. This is its own. Like my whole thesis was in Max, so it's like a thing you could spend years on and not like know everything. And then also I think I can also change what the background is, so it's not sending out gray. I would say, let's see, like background color or something. One second. Erase color. I would say at erase color. And it's RGBA, so it's 0001. And then you should, whenever you redraw the render context, you turn it off, turn it back on. And now if I enable corner pinning, it should be completely black. Yeah, so now it's going to be completely transparent. And you can send alpha over spout as well. So if I didn't have this sky in there, I could, if it's sending out black frames, it'll be just the geometry. It'll be just the character or whatever. And then you can do compositing from different cameras and do video feedback and all that kind of stuff. I can't show you all the tricks. There's not enough time. So anyway, we got our frames from Max. And now let's go into the 2D effects that we can do. Great. So here's our spout, and this is data flow. Everything just needs to go into here. All the effects we're going to add in. Double click my window, my world to get my window up on top. Okay, great. So I'm going to show you a thing called Visi. This was released with Max, the most recent version of Max. And Visi starts with VZ, and it is a way of doing special effects in 2D special effects inside of Max without having to get into any of the underlying architecture of Max whatsoever. So it's put together all these different things that do stuff. This is called a pixelator, right? This is called a player. It's playing a video. We don't need a video because we're getting frames from Unreal. Well, all we want is this guy right here. I'm going to take the little box, just copy it, and paste it. I can reroute this patch cord, or I can delete it. Video goes in, and video comes out. It's gonna make me a liar, isn't it? Let's see. And then if you hover over these little inlets, it's basically saying that this can turn it off and on, and this one disables it. So we could put toggles on these as well to turn it off and on, and MIDI map it and all that kind of stuff. Undo. Let us dive in. New P window. This is called a P window, it's just a way of like looking at data coming in. No. look at our spout stuff. Receiver. That's cool. Let's send it some frames. New. Send. Whoa. So I need to send it frames right here, and I wasn't. So I'll get this set up for you. So you want to touch it. New. Send. Pre-render. There we go. It wasn't rendering. There you go. So I now have the pixelator in here, right? So now I can start messing around with this on sliders and knobs. And then this could be turned off or bypassed. There we go. So it's on, off. So we can mess around with that. Actually, I think the way to turn it off is on the first one. Yeah, we put a toggle right here. This turns it off and on. There you go. So I don't even need these guys. Effect on, effect off. That's all we need. And so we're just going to basically create this little daisy chain of effects. And I just want you to play around and find 3 that you like. And that's about it. So I'm going to show you how to kind of explore these. So when I go back into the help file for Visi, it says learn more. And then I'm going to take this right here, copy it. And if I was more patient with this, I would have seen that it tells me how to use this. Goes right here. Where'd you go? Where's it going? Oh, there it is. So I put this learn more right here. If your patch is locked, click this and say Visi. All these things were about learning more. And they have like a list of how to use all of these things. They have like a help file for all of video. Wow, that opened up a whole bunch of crap. Here's the chickens and day glow color, right? So there's a bunch of just different examples of like how do you change brightness and contrast saturation. This is a tone mapper, right? I can like draw in these tones, right? So I could be VJing with a little stylus if I wanted to. So there's a whole bunch of them you can use. I thought there was going to be an exhaustive list somewhere. But for me, all I have to do is do a new object and say VZ, and these are all Visi objects. So I could say there's an oscillator and it's just a whole bunch of different things, and I could say, okay, that's an embosser or a delay. See if the delayer is cool. Let's open up the help file, and this is how we kind of steal from Max. So this is adding in video delay. I can steal it, close it up, and add it to my chain of effects. Do I want it to pixelate the delay, or do I want to delay to pixelation? That's up to you guys to test and figure out. Connect it again, and then let's add another toggle so we can turn this effect on and off. So where's our window? It's over here. And I want to add delay. So look, now I'm adding in video delay. Add more feedback. more crossfade, like a crossfade between the two. All right. That slowed down the computer considerably, so I'm not going to do 120 seconds of delay. But so now we have a delay effect that I can turn off if I want to. Turn on pixelation, turn it off. Delay the pixelation, pixelate the delay. It's up to us. Cool. So that's the idea, is just to find 3 of these things that work and play around with them. And then again, you can also put these on key presses and stuff like that. So we've now connected 2 pieces of software. Max is sending control into Unreal, and then Unreal is sending frames back to Max, making a nice little ecosystem. Does anyone have any questions about that? Obviously, it's just stuff you have to kind of review and do with yourself. But now you can see how you can do an entire project with this, right? You can make it an hour of content easily, just takes time, right? Steal some stuff, buy some stuff, throw it in there, spawn it, destroy it. I definitely would want this to ultimately be on a black background. So I would hide the the sky sphere, which is right there. And as I said before, that'll send an alpha out after hitting game. So now I'm gonna hit play. That's a lot cooler. That's cool. Get that video delay. Turn off the corner pins. And then I come back and I can spawn my other meshes and everything like that. So just keep on building on what you've been doing. And we have like 30 minutes. We can do it here in class. I can help you out. That's maybe you can try to get everything done today. Cool. It's a lot, so that's why I'm here for you, to help you out.